Hello everyone, this is Timespinner. For those of you unfamiliar with this game, it is a Metroidvania very heavily inspired by Castlevania, with some sort of neat time manipulation mechanics in it. This is New Game Plus, so if you haven't seen the category before, it's got three major mechanical differences from a standard any percent run. I'll sort of get into those as the run progresses, because it's easier to explain them as they show up. So with that out of the way, though, I think I'm ready to start. So time will begin when I select a difficulty. So in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so the first major difference is I start with the Teleria, which is this long fast forward dash. And I'm going to basically try to be dashing as much as possible because that's the fastest way of moving. Second major difference is I start with access to all weapons and the ability to equip 3 different loadouts so I can switch between immediately. And that's going to be very useful. For example, I'm going to use Light Wall, which is a charge spell. It basically puts up this solid wall of light that I can stand on, and I'm going to use it for a sequence break here. I'm going to drop down into sealed caves and grab security keycard B. The security keycards are basically, they allow access into different locked doors, and security keycard B will allow me to access or to enter doors that require cards D or C, so I don't have to actually pick either of those up now, and that saves quite a bit of time. I'm just using the Chaos Blade spell to clear out enemies here, and I'm climbing up into this little alcove up here to pick up the Timespinner wheel. That's going to allow me to stop time, and when time is stopped, enemies stop moving, and they lose their hitboxes and hurtboxes, but they retain their collision, so basically I can stand on them and use them for platforming like I just did there. So now I'm coming up on the climb out of Lake Desolation. This is one of the most complex platforming sequences, in terms of a single room. Let's see if I get it. Okay, that was a very clean climb. I'm very happy with that. So I'm coming up on the first boss. This is McCavity. Goodbye. So yeah, the other major difference with this category is I'm maximum level, so my attacks basically do a ton of damage and basically beat everything in one hit. But now I'm coming up on Varnagray Metropolis. In my opinion, this is the hardest part of the entire run, because it has a lot of that that kind of level design that you see early in games a lot, where it's easy to do, but it's hard to do it as fast as possible. So I'm just dropping down into the water here, because I can just light wall out. It's a little bit slower than if I'd made those jumps perfectly, but the jumps are so hard. Anyway, I'm going through a keycard D door, even though I don't have keycard D like I explained before with keycard B. Just charging up a Chaos Blaze to take out these 2 security sentries, and I'm making my way through the Metropolis now, going up these stairs past a security guard, and it happened! Oh my gosh, it happened in a marathon! I fell through the stairs. That's the third time I've ever seen that firsthand. Basically, there's something weird about collision on stairs, so it's I don't exactly know how it works, but I fell through the stairs in a marathon. That's incredible. So anyway, I'm just making my way through, pausing time because these gargoyle Roombas and spiders are the worst. Okay. Got a little bit off with my weapon selection there. I don't know why, but I'm just using the plasma orb to clear out these enemies in the air duct, and dropping down here, clearing the last few out, picking up the elevator keycard that's going to let me ride the elevator, and now just going to shock that one, and taking the elevator down to the bottom of Varnagray Metropolis, because there's a warp point here. I can't use fast travel points yet, but I will be able to soon, and I'm going to be coming back to that spot a lot of times, so it's going to be very, very useful to pick up that point, that little spot. So now I'm taking the elevator all the way up to the top of the tower, and I'm going to the next boss. This is Varnagroth. It's a little eye sort of thing. It spins around, attacks, shoots missiles, shoots fire, but I'm just gonna throw a couple of eye orbs out, and yeah, it's dead. So, you know, obviously, it sort of looks like, you know, combat isn't really a thing in this category because I'm just beating everything in one hit. However, like, I mean, that's generally true. However, it is pretty tightly routed in terms of which specific weapon will beat each boss and each enemy in one hit the fastest. For example, Vandergroth doesn't have a great Q for when it becomes vulnerable, so the Eye Orb's lingering hitbox is really ideal. So now I'm making my way up, and I'm going to use the Timespinner to travel back in time. However, I don't have the things I needed, so it sent me way too far back into the past, like 1,000 years. So I'm going to just have a couple cutscene skips. As it fades in, I'm going to use this cue for where the NPC is to navigate before the screen fully fades in. And now I'm just going to skip 2 more cutscenes and then head out to Greenwood Forest and head to the left. And this is going to make use of the Plasma Orb's kind of weird homing hitbox. Going to switch over to Chaos Blades now, charge it up momentarily, and there's a moth here, taking out 2 moths. And now, just making my way between the bats and the rats, and heading over to Lake Serene. Lake Serene, has a lot of flies. The flies are really mean, so I'm just gonna leave the time paused so they can't do anything to me. They would try to kill me, and they would probably succeed, just skipping a cutscene, taking out this bird, coming up on a really cool time stop jump thing over a bird. Ah, okay, well, I messed that up, but it's not a huge deal. Just coming up. This room, I sort of need to watch the cycles on my orbs, because basically the orbs that are orbiting me, these are my weapons, but they also have the, you might see the little green kind of blade looking things on them. That's called Scythe Ring, and basically Scythe Ring puts a hitbox on the orbs that orbit me. And so depending on where they are in the cycle, I can just sort of run through enemies. Coming up on Azure Queen, the next boss. Yeah, that's not really a thing, but I'm going to drop down here and pick up the Twin Pyramid Key. And now I'm sort of accosted by these demons, and they're going to lower the drawbridge to the castle all the way in the east. So I'm going to warp back to the middle, and then I'm going to head over into the castle. And this segment of the run is personally the part of the run that I'm the worst at. Just sort of a lot of sections where I can kind of just run into enemies and lose little bits of time here and there. I'm going to leave the screen paused there because of those rats. Just running right past these bats and trying to jump through the lake here went pretty well. Leaving time paused for this room, for this climb. Okay, because those bats can be pretty troublesome. And another thing is I'm jumping a lot, and that might look kind of weird. The thing is, slopes in this game are kind of sticky, so you dash slower if you are going up a slope or down a slope, so wherever possible, I prefer to like just jump over the slopes, and that's generally quicker. Even like stairs, I will sort of mash jump. The other thing is, whenever I attack, I jump, because if you, like attacking on the ground, you stop moving momentarily, so obviously that's slower if I'm trying to run forward as I attack. If I jump, it resets my Teleria dash, so it's still slower than just dashing forward, but I do get to move a little bit, so it is preferable if I must attack to do it in the air. But again, of course, it is faster to just run past as much as possible. Ooh, that wasn't great. I kind of messed up the timing on the dash there. That's fine. Coming up, I'm going to jump off of this Royal Advisor and climb up here. Coming up on the next boss, which is the Golden Idol. And just going to switch to Gun Orb and Hammer. I'm going to use Gun Orb to shoot one of the demons, and then I'm going to charge up a Colossal Hammer, hit the idol, and then pick up the item drop. There we go. So now I'm going to pick up the Succubus Hairpin, which is a really nice item. it's a double jump, and that's really great. Obviously, it's extremely flexible in terms of the movement options it opens up in combination with my other abilities. It also has a really nice animation. It's this sort of pirouette that you'll be able to see in this room. So we're coming up on Royal Towers, and Royal Towers is a really neat area because it's extremely vertical, so it's, like, your climbing has to really be spot on for it. This room's nice because the Scythe Orb cycle lines up so I can just run right through all of these enemies. This is the first climb room coming up. And it's probably the easier one. This, I'm going to use Light Wall to skip using the ice to skip a thing. In any percent, the thing using the ice is called Ice Skip, so that's Ice Skip Skip. Basically, here I'm just dashing and jumping up the stairs, zapping the enemies. There's sort of a rhythm to it. That was kind of awkward, but it's fine. And now just taking out Queen Elana and using a Warp Shard to go back to the last Warp Gate that I was in. And now I'm going to head back to that Warp Gate that I set earlier in Varnagray Metropolis and head down along the bottom to the hidden elevator to Upper Sealed Caves. This is still Sealed Caves, but it's not actually, like, connected to the Sealed Caves that I was in earlier. It's sort of, like, in the past version of it, it was. But time has sort of taken its toll on the infrastructure down here, and it's fallen into disrepair. So I'm down here because I need to get the Water Mask. Just going to jump. There's some kind of weird platforming here. Going to jump between these slimes. This next room is very lumpy, and these enemies like to jump, so I'm going to basically just sort of jump over them, leave them paused. This room is also weirdly lumpy, but I can't really, like... I have to be cautious about where I'm jumping because there's so many enemies. Picking up the Water Mask so now I can go for a swim. And I'm heading back to Lake Serene now, because where better to take a swim than the lake? And so at Lake Serene, I am actually going to go underwater to Caves of Banishment, which is sort of the past version of Sealed Caves. But I'm going to go all the way through it. I'm actually going to go to the Maw of Asmodeus, which is the next kind of boss. I mean, it's a boss, but it's, you know, New Game Plus, boss fights aren't really, like, a thing. This section is sort of mostly just horizontal movement, a lot of dodging, a lot of sort of optimizing where and when to attack, and trying to just skip as many attacks as possible. In these areas, basically, where there's like a staircase and an enemy near each other, I try to jump over the stair, and then as I land on the upper portion, zap the enemy so that I can get basically the jump up the slope and the aerial attack in the same, like, action. Just pausing time to jump over these slimes here. Coming up on this room where I'm going to leave it paused because these enemies also like to jump around a lot, so they can be kind of interfering. And now I'm dropping down all the way into this pit, and I take no damage because there's no fall damage in this game. This game is completely indifferent to my immense hubris. And I ran into the snail. Ideally, I would have jumped over the snail completely. Okay, that's a little thing. That little hop I did there is a thing I've been working in to my runs in the past few days. Basically, it's a little, like, way of sustaining the dash a little bit better than just running straight forward. So now I'm in the climb up to Maw, or coming up on the climb up to Maw. This is kind of tough to get, like, really perfectly. Basically, gonna use Gun Orb to shoot out the bone door, and gonna shoot the Maw. I hope it uses a fast attack so it dies quickly. Yes, thank you, Maw. That was very, very, very good. So now we're coming up on my favorite split in the whole run. This is two areas, Military Hangar and Amadeus Lab. And so Military Hangar, it mainly consists of these 5 different rooms that each have their own unique challenges where it can really, sort of mistakes really pile up, but it's also just sort of pure movement. So this is the first one, gonna pause. gonna pause the falling rocks. That was pretty good. Just jumping over these enemies. Usually I don't need to pause here. Sometimes I do just as a little precaution, but I'm gonna pause here to get over this enemy, no problem. This is a little bit more dense, this room, so I usually end up pausing here, landing on that guy. And this jump is kind of weird. There's not a great cue for it, but I was able to get it because I've done it a lot of times. So it's totally fine. Now I'm into Amadeus' lab. And this has a lot of different types of movement too, a lot of interesting climbing. Just climbing up here, have it pause so that these security camera things don't attack me, and onto this conveyor belt, pausing briefly because otherwise that crusher would crush me, hence the name. I don't know if that's actually what it's called, but that's what it does. Okay, that was pretty strong. I usually don't actually go for that double jump into landing on top of that first or second light wall, but it is a time save, so I thought I'd go for it. I turned the power off though, and that releases these reddish things that are running around. They're called Experiment 11. They're terrible. They are really fast, really aggressive. They drain my sand, which is my time stop meter if they hit me, and I can't freeze them by stopping time. They are completely exempt from that. Luckily though, they have pretty predictable patterns, so I can just jump right over them. Just pausing time and climbing up here to Genza, and just shooting him a couple times. Picking up his keycard. This is security keycard A. Security keycard A is going to let me go into the high security areas. For example, the basement of the lab, which is where I'm going right now. And basically, I'm going to use those to pick up the Timespinner gears, which I'll be able to use to go to the right time, basically. I'm just charging up a Chaos Blaze. Oh, that was close. I almost ran into the Experiment 11 there. But I didn't. So I'm just charging up a Chaos Blades preemptively, because in this room there are a lot of these laser spiders. They're not the most polite. I'm just going to use 3 to clear them all out. And pick up the first Timespinner gear. And warp shard out. And then I'm going to warp again to that same spot in Varney Grand Metropolis. And then I'm going to go to the elevator, take the elevator up 1 floor to the sort of high security secret room here. And charge up another Chaos Blaze because there are more of these laser spiders, but there are less of them and they're more densely packed, so I can only use 2, and it's actually optimal. So now I'm going back to sealed caves, and this time I'm going to go all the way through sealed caves instead of just dropping down to pick up the keycard. However, the platforming is more or less the same as Caves of Banishment. It's just that there are more enemies, and the enemies are more dangerous. For example, more of them inflict the poison status, which gradually drains my health, as poison status usually does. But like, so that's an extra mushroom that I just jumped over. There's like 5 slimes in that room instead of 3. So I'm pausing again because these are the same jumping enemies. And again, no fall damage, good game. Really the only thing I like more than games that don't have fall damage are games that have fall damage that's like really funny. Okay, so I jumped over that snail. The first snails that are like alone are actually kind of harder to jump over because there's not as much of a cue for that, whereas like this, you just sort of have that steady rhythm. It's fine. So I'm coming up on Zarion. This is the hardest boss in the game, but it doesn't really matter because I just beat it in 1 hit because it's a maximum level. But like casually, this boss is super hard. And now I pick up the final Timespinner gear. And I'm coming up on Mr. Cutscene. Basically, I'm going to go skip like 3 or 4 cutscenes, and then bonk him with a hammer, and then there's an unskippable cutscene, and then I skip some more cutscenes. So 1 cutscene, 2 cutscenes, 3 cutscenes, hammer, he's dead. And I'm gonna have some water because I'm actually getting kind of thirsty talking all this. Okay.
Oh,
So
I don't blame you. I'm getting thirsty just listening to you talk. It's incredible.
So yeah, now I've just destroyed the universe with my constant meddling with time, actually. So now I'm in the dream world, and this lion made out of sand here. That's the Sandman. He's basically God, and he's kind of mad at me because I destroyed the universe. You know, it's honestly kind of understandable. Even though I'm doing my best, I suppose I will hear him out. So I'm in Ancient Pyramid. I'm coming up actually on the hardest trick in the game. It's a kind of like light wall double jump thing. I get one try at it, and if I miss it, I lose almost a minute. So let's hope. I've been getting it a lot lately, but I missed it twice today. So got it. Okay. That's actually, there's basically nothing else like worrisome in the run. That was the last like important trick. Basically, I'm just making my way to the bottom of the pyramid for the last two bosses. Time is going to be when I hit the second of them, Nightmare, with the Colossal Hammer. That should be about 20 to 25 seconds from now, actually. Just running through the save point, and here comes Sandman, and just gonna use the hammer. Here comes Nightmare. I don't know what it is or where it came from, but time's gonna be when I hit it with the hammer. And here we go. Time. Well, that was
that is an incredible quick quick speed run. You put the speed in speedrunner, that's for sure.
Thank you. That was I don't know what the time is showing on stream, but on my end that looked like a 2021, which is 5 seconds off world record for this category.
That is exactly what we've got on our end as well.
Nice.
5 seconds off, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that was, I'm honestly pretty surprised by how well that went. Like, there weren't... Okay, if I hadn't fallen through the stairs in Varnagray Metropolis, that would have been world record.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's the third time it's ever happened
true.
to me.
Yeah, no, sorry. Now I'm so semi-reacting to what's going on with the restream as well. But the I was just thinking back about you falling through those stairs. That would probably have done it for you.
Yeah, it's like, and according to this, like I lost like 6 seconds on Varnagray, and there weren't really other mistakes. So, but I mean,
well,
either way,
it's still fantastic.
Yeah, overall, I'm very, very happy with that run. I just, before I go, I want to say, thanks to Strizer and the Game Over Cancer team for giving me the opportunity to show off this run and just putting this wonderful event on. Also to the Timespinner speedrun community for routing and testing and optimizing this game so well. And yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a great time.
Well, and thanks for coming by, and thanks for giving your time. Thanks for showing us this wonderful speed run. I had never seen the Glitchless New Game Plus, and it's probably because I blinked a few times. If it ever was running, it was so fast, and you provided excellent commentary.
Thank you.
It was enlightening.
Thank you.
But on that note, I suppose, unfortunately, it was so quick, and with the time stop and manipulation, people may not have had time to place a donation. So now's the perfect time, as we're going to be taking a quick little break to get ready for the next run, which is going to be the Transylvanian Adventure of Simon's Quest. It's a Demo 3 run by Dove06.
It's going to be a good one.
So on that note, we'll see you all in a little bit.